Thank you. Today is 17th September, and our focus is going to be on what we call as signal transformation. Signal transformation. What are the different types of transformation? Normally, we come across two types. One is transformation of the independent variable and the dependent variable. Suppose I have a signal x of t. Can someone tell me what is the independent variable here? What is the independent variable here? If I have a signal x of t, yes. So we have t as the independent variable and x of t as the dependent variable. Yes, thank you. This is the dependent variable and t is the independent variable. The independent variable. And when we consider the dependent variable or transformations on x of t, we have a lot of transformations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, integration, and differentiation. So these are some of the transformations that we can do with the dependent variable. And similarly, when we consider the independent variable, we have time scaling, time reversal, say minus t, then time shifting, say t minus t naught, and then time scaling, let us say a times t, and say a times t minus t naught. So these are some of the transformations. We will not go into each of them because you can get this in any textbook, or some of you who have completed the course will already be aware of it. We'll focus on few transformations now, and we have already seen yesterday the transformation of time shifting. Can anyone tell me yesterday, for example, we had taken a signal, let us say the unit step function u of t, and then suppose I want to consider a signal, say u of t minus 2. Is this signal a right shift or a left shift of u of t? We have done this. We have done the plot of u of t, and then we also saw the plot of u of t minus 2 yesterday. Yes, yes. So this is something we saw yesterday, and we can generalize this result. We can, even though we saw it for delta t impulse and we saw the result for the unit step function, by observing the above results, we can generalize. In general, so we can generalize. That is, if I have x of t, and if I want x of t minus t naught, this is going to be a right shift of x of t by t naught. And similarly, if I want x of t plus t naught, this is going to be a left shift. So this is we just observed few examples, and it is applicable for any signal x of t. This is that with regard to the time shift. And let's generalize. Let's look at one more observation. If we saw an example yesterday, let us say I have sine 2 pi t, and let us say I have sine 4 pi t. How is my sine 2 pi t going to be? If I this can someone tell me what is the time period of the signal sine 2 pi t? Sine 2 pi t. What is the time period? 1. Very good. So it is 1. It is 1. And similarly, what is the time period of the signal sine 4 pi t? What is the time period of the signal sine 4 pi t? Very good, 0.5. So what happens now? This has a time period of 1, whereas this has a time period of half. So now, and we also saw similarly a sinc function. We also saw sinc function. So if I have a signal x of t, and if I want to draw a signal x of 2t, now tell me, x of 2t, should I expand or compress? X of 2t is compression in time or expansion in time? If this is my x of t and this is my x of 2t, yes. Yes, I'm getting very good, very good. So by observing, we are just generalizing by observing, because exact proofs, understanding, description is available in any book that your college is following. So that is, so here we are just trying to quickly try to get a conclusion and move ahead, because our aim is to sketch the signal. So if I have a signal x of 2t, x of, when x of t, x of 2t is going to be compression in time. Compression in time. So this is by observation, and even though we are observing a specific example, it is valid for any signal in general. Similarly, on the other hand, suppose I have x of t by 2. What do you think it will be? Suppose I have x of t by 2. This is going to be, x of t by 2 is going to be an expansion. Yes. And it need not be 2 always. Suppose it's x of 3t, it is going to be compression by 3 times. So yes, so this is what is compression and expansion of the signal. So now let us take up let us say, let's take an example. Similarly, addition. Suppose we are looking at transformations of the dependent variable. Let us say addition. If I am looking at addition, what happens now? Before proceeding, suppose I am doing this x of 2t compressing in time. Have you any time seen this? Uh, if I have x of t and suppose I want x of 2t, I'm compressing in time. Have anyone seen it, or is it possible to compress time? First question: is it possible to compress time? Is it possible to compress time? We are telling the signal gets compressed in time. Now the question is it possible to compress time? No. Yes. So we cannot compress time. That is something we all agree. Then now my question is, what do you think is actually happening in x of 2t? Have you experienced it any time? Have you whatever happens in a time period of 1 hour, it is now going to happen in half an hour. When can we do this time compression? If I cannot do in real time. If I have a signal, if something is happening, I can store it and then compress it. For example, say you're watching a cricket match, and then there's a live telecast, and later on they play the same thing very slowly. So that is expansion in time. If you look at this, this expansion in time is nothing but equivalent to a slow motion. So you are expanding in time, and when can we expand and watch? If I have recorded it, and then I can expand in time. Similarly, let us say you're sitting in the home and then watching a movie, and sometimes you do not want to watch certain scenes, and so you try to skip it. You want it to go fast. What is that process? X of 2t is compression in time, which is nothing but equivalent to the fast forward operation that we do that we do when we watch a movie or any recorded event. So all these are possible only when we have stored the signal. That is very important. If I have taken a signal, I have stored it in some medium, then I can fast forward, I can expand, etc. Otherwise, time is so unique that it is constant for everyone and cannot be changed. Let's not speak about the time motion and all that, but yes, let's take a simple real situation. So fast forward and slow motion are the examples for time expansion or compression. So now let's come to addition. Come to addition, and let addition we all know. Let us say I have a sine signal. Let us say I have a sine omega t, and say to this I want to add I want to add a constant DC signal. So then it's going to be a time shift up or below. I can add any two signals. So addition, multiplication. We will take some more examples. Similarly, say multiplication. Also we have seen yesterday. We will write some codes to take some signals and do multiplication. So now we will now take up the next example, and that is, let us say, differentiation. Differentiation of a signal. Suppose I have a signal x of t. What is the derivative of a signal, or what is differentiation of a signal? Can someone tell me what is the derivative of a signal? Or suppose I have a signal x of t as say, yes, dx by dt. Yes, yes. Suppose I have 2x square plus 3x. No. Okay, suppose I have a signal, let us say 2 cos omega t. What is the derivative of cos omega t? Suppose I try to do the derivative of a cosine signal. What is the derivative of cos? I get one answer as minus 2 sine omega t. Is this right? Is this right? And I have one more answer as minus 2 omega sine. Yes, yes. So the derivative of a cosine function is a minus sign. Similarly, if I have a signal, let us say x of t is say 3 sine 2 pi t. Then what is the derivative of x of t? What is the derivative of this signal? Derivative of sine. What happens now? Yes, tell me, give an exact expression. Exact expression. 3 sine 2 pi t. 3 sine 2 pi t. What is the derivative? Yes, 6 pi cos 2 pi t. Yes. So this is something we already know. We know because we have been doing differentiation from so many years, maybe from high school. We have been doing. Now let's take a signal which we will plot. We will plot, and suppose I take a signal x of t, and x of t is, say, this way. Say like this, then like this, then like this, then like this. So this is, say, -1, say -2. This is, say, 1, say this is 2. This is 1, this is 2. Now I want to do the differentiation of the signal. So I want to sketch the signal d by dt of x of t. I want to sketch the derivative of the signal. I want to sketch the derivative of the signal. Actually, I have turned off my phone, but I think I'll turn it on. I give you 2 minutes. I give you 2 minutes, or say I give you 1 minute. I want you to draw the derivative of the signal, and share it in the WhatsApp group. Share it in the WhatsApp group. I will not call out by name anyone. You need not, or you can send it to me in private if you don't want to send it in the group. I give you 1 minute. Please do the derivative of this because sin and cos everyone did it. Now I have a signal. We are dealing with signals which we normally plot, and then finally we want to write a code, and hence I want you to differentiate the signal and draw it and share it by phone. Share it by phone. Yes. Do you want me to do it? I would look forward to some of you doing and sharing, because this is something you cannot type on the chat box. It becomes difficult to type on the chat box. Of course, it is possible. It's easier if you draw and share it. Please draw and share it. Otherwise, yes, I will anyway do it. Yes, I'm getting answer. Good, good. Yes. Thank you. Though I don't have a name, but thank you for sharing it. A small correction, good attempt, very good attempt. Very good attempt. Yes, thank you. This is the way we normally had our real classes. Students used to share, and then we used to respond. And of course, in the normal class, whoever responds, I used to give them 1 mark extra. Here, it's an internship. I don't have any such hold, so such incentives are not possible here. Yes, got 1 answer. Any more answer? Yes, 1 more answer has come. Yes, the second one also is right. A small correction. Just one small correction. Yes, 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 yes. So we got 2 answers. 2 answers. Good. So you are having a paper. You're having a pen. You're trying it. Good. Can we wait for 1 more answer? Yes. Okay. So we will see what is the differentiation. Differentiation is nothing but dy by dx. So rate of change in the y as compared rate of change in y as compared to the time scale. And hence, so normally what we do is we start walking from minus infinity. So imagine I'm walking from minus infinity and coming. And when I come, what happens? When I come to minus 2, what happens? I need to jump. There's a sudden jump. And by how much should I jump? I should jump by, can you tell me, I'm walking, imagine I'm walking along this line, and I'm walking from minus infinity. There was nothing. There was no signal at all. The moment I came to minus 2, there is a signal and there's a sudden change in amplitude. By how much is the amplitude changing at minus 2? Is it increasing or decreasing? It is increasing. So yes, by 1 unit. So there is a sudden change by 1. Then what happens? So now I have jumped. I've jumped by 1 and I am here. And then I start walking along the signal here. I start walking along the signal here. And then I come here. So from minus 2 till minus 1, there is neither an increase nor a decrease in the signal. And we all know the derivative of a constant is 0. So there is no change. The derivative is 0. Now I am here at minus 1. At minus 1, then what happens? There is a constant increase in the amplitude. What is the slope? What is the slope of the signal in this range? In minus 1 to 0, is it a positive? Is the signal increasing or is it decreasing? Is the signal increasing or decreasing? When I imagine I'm walking and I'm at minus 1 and I continue walking along the signal up to 0. So in this range, how is my signal? It's positive and it is and is the slope is the rate of, if I do dy by dx, delta y by delta x, how much is the slope? It is 1 because slope of a constant is 1, and hence in this range, it is the magnitude is 1. magnitude is 1. Then I reach, so now I am here, and then from 0 to 1, is there a decrease or an increase in the signal? There is neither an increase nor a decrease in the signal, so it's constant, and hence the slope is 0, and the slope is 0. Then I come here. Then at 1, what happens? What happens at 1? There is a sudden, there's a sudden fall in the signal, and hence I need to go down by 1, and hence there is a negative impulse of -1. There is a negative impulse of -1, and then in the range 1 to 2, what happens? The signal is again negative, a negative slope of -1, and this is what we have, a negative slope of -1 in the range of 1 to 2. 1 to 2. So this is what we have. So we walk from minus infinity to plus infinity, and then we try to record what is the rate of change. So this is how we get the derivative of the signal. Any doubt? Any doubt? Good. We had 2 attempts, 2 students, 2 of them. I don't know whether they are student or faculty, but 2 people attempted. Thank you. So let's take one more example just to have this concept of derivative clear. Let's take one more example. Let us say 1, 1, 1. Yes, this is -1, -2, -3, 1, 2, 3. And this is say 2, 4, 6. Please sketch the derivative of the signal and share it by phone. Please sketch the derivative of the signal and share it by. Please share it. Anyway, we will do the answer. I want you to sketch the derivative of the signal. Sketch the derivative. Sketch the derivative of the signal. So we are moving from minus infinity. So I come to -3. Then what happens? There's a sudden jump. So I have an impulse. Then I am at -3 and I keep walking towards -2. Then what happens? Neither increase nor decrease, so the derivative is 0. At -2, what happens? Again, there is a jump. And jump by how much? Jump by 1. Then I am here, and then I keep walking from -2 till -1. And again, it's a constant, neither increase nor decrease in the signal, and hence it's a constant. Then at -1, there is a jump. A jump by how much? All these are jumps by 2. Yes, we are getting some answers. Let me look. Yes, right answer. Right answer. I have not saved your name, so I cannot tell by name. Yes, one answer was right. Yes, one answer needs a small correction. Yes. But good, good. I have only 2 people are answering, but we have 47 who are present. It doesn't matter. Yes, so all these are jumps by 2. And then what happens? I am at -1 till I come to +1. There is no change in the signal at all. So the derivative is 0. At 1, what happens? There is a fall. I need to fall down. By -2. Then from 1 to 2, again I walk. No change, no increase, no decrease, nothing. Then at 2, again I need to fall down. I need to jump down by -2. And then I come to 3. At 3, again I come down. By -2. So this is the derivative of this signal. This is the derivative of this signal. Is it clear? Is differentiation clear? I know you're all very good in mathematics and then you will be able to do it. Okay, now I'll take a very simple example. I assume we have all understood differentiation. Now my question is to perform the derivative of the third example. Please tell me what is the derivative of the unit ramp function. The unit ramp function is given in this manner. Yes. So this is 1 and this is 1. What is the derivative of the unit ramp function? What happens if I differentiate it? For t less than 0, it is 0. For t greater than 0, it is a line with a positive slope. So the derivative is 1. And hence what we have now, the derivative of the unit ramp function, the unit ramp function is a unit step function. So this is one very important observation we have. Similarly, please tell me what is the derivative of the unit step function. Next example. Please tell me what is the let us sketch the impulse function. Let us sketch the unit impulse function delta t. Delta t, it has a magnitude of 1. Sorry, we can't differentiate the unit delta function. Let us sketch the unit step function. Sorry for that. Let us sketch the unit step function. Unit step function. What is the derivative of the unit step function? Sorry. No. No, you please recollect that definition of it is 0 always, except no, it is not 0. That's the whole point. You keep walking from minus infinity and then you tell me, do we need to jump anywhere or do we need to fall down anywhere or we just remain constant? Is there a jump? Is there a jump? Imagine I'm walking from minus infinity. I keep walking from minus infinity and then what happens? There is no signal only. If I keep walking from minus infinity till I come to 0, there is no signal. So there is no slope, there's no increase, no decrease, it's 0. What happens at 0? I need to suddenly jump. I need to jump. Jump by how much? By 1. So I jump. And how do I represent a sudden jump? By an impulse function. By an impulse function of strength 1. Then what happens here? I have jumped, so I'm here. Then later on, what happens? There's no increase or decrease in the signal, and hence it is constant. Constant. So the derivative is 0. Derivative is 0. So we have a very important observation that the unit impulse function is nothing but the derivative of the unit step function. So this is a very important observation that we have, and it will be useful in signal analysis, system analysis. So normally the control system people they do the step response of the system, the steady state response, etc. All this, and finally if we want to get the impulse response, or this is the relation between the impulse and the unit step is going to be extremely useful. So this is about differentiation. Any doubt you want me to repeat or you want one more example? We will take up one more example, or it's fine. Can we proceed to integration? Okay. We'll go to integration now. We'll take the next concept, the signal transformation, and that is That is integration. That is integration. And what is integration? If I want to describe integration, integration in so integral minus infinity to t, say x of t dt is what is going to give me the integral of a function. The integral of a function. Suppose I have a signal x of t, or let us say f of x. I mean, let us say f of x, f of x. Let us say I have a function f of x given by 2x square plus 3x plus 4. And then now I want you to integrate within the limits 0 to 3, say f of x dx. Can someone do and tell me the answer? Can someone do and tell me the answer? What is the integral of this function? 2x squared plus 3x plus 4 is going to be, what will be the integral? 2. What is integral of x squared? Integral of x squared? Integral of x squared. Yes. X cubed by 3. Yes. Integral of x. Integral of x.
X square by 2.
X square by 2. Very good. Plus 4x. Oh, someone has given the answer itself. And then plus 4x. And in the limits 0 to 3. And all are giving the answer as 87 by 2. I will not verify. I know you would have done it correct. I know you would have done it correct. So this is an integration we all know. We all know to do the integration of any given expression. Yes. Yes. Correct. Correct. So good. We see active participation by more students now. That's nice. So now let's take similarly. Now, if I give you if I give you a signal, if I give you a signal, let us say x of t is equal to e to the power of minus 2t, and then I tell you, get me the integral of x of t dt. What is going to be the integration? What in general, what is the integral of e power minus 2t? What is the integral of e power minus 2t? Let us say from a to b. And what is the integral of e power minus 2t? Yes.
E power
Yes,
minus 2t by minus 2.
Yes, yes, very good. So e power minus 2t by minus 2, and whatever is the limits, we can substitute and get the answer. So we know to do this also. Suppose I am given say yes, very good. So we know to do integration of a function of x. We know to do the integration of a function of time. Now let us do graphical integration, like walking from minus infinity, and we will do that, because sometimes graphical method of integration becomes easier. So now let us see, let us take a signal x of t, and let us try to get the integral of the signal. Let us say once again, let me take this. Okay, let me just leave it like this. Say 2. Let's take a simple example first, and then 1 and 2. So now I want to integrate this. I'll give you again 1 minute time. Please integrate and share the answer. I want the answer as a plot, because I have given you the plot. I want the integral of this function also as a plot. Please do it as a plot and share it. Yes. Good to see people are sharing the result. Very nice. Well, that's what makes teaching interesting. Please do the integral and share it. Share the photograph. I want the plot. We will anyway do it, but I want integral of x of t. I want to sketch the integral of x of t. Or okay, since this is the first example, I think I will do it. And second example, you can do it yourself. So now what happens? Once again, I always walk from minus infinity. I walk from minus infinity and I come till minus 2. There is absolutely no signal till minus 2. So the integral of x of t is 0 till minus 2. Then what happens at minus 2? Let me walk a little ahead. Let me go to minus 1. I'll go to minus 1. And then what will I do? I will go to minus 1. I will stand at minus 1. I will stand at minus 1 and look to my left. I look to my left. I stand at minus 1 and look to my left. And what do I see when I look to my left? Yes, I've got an answer. Not completely right. It's a good attempt. Little bit addition is required. So I stand at minus 1. I look to the left. And how much area do I see when I look to my left? I'm going to see an area of this much. Can you tell me what is the area that I see when I stand at minus 1 and look to my left? What is this area? How much is this area? How much is this area? Yes, width is 1, height is 1. It's a rectangle of area 1. And hence at minus 1, my area is 1. So I write 1. Then I have found out the value of the integral at minus 1. I go a little more forward. I go a little more forward and I walk, I come to 0. I walk and come to 0. I stand at 0 and I look to my left again. I look to my left and how much area do I see when I look to my left? This is what I see. This much area I see when I look to my left at 0. So how much is the area now? The area that I see when I stand at 0 and look to my left, how much is the area? Area is 2. Yes. So area is 2. Next, I go a little more ahead. I go to 1. I stand at 1 and then I stop at 1 and then I look to my left. I look to my left. Now how much area do I see? Who can tell me how much area do I see now? I stand at 1 and look to my left. How much area do I see? Very good, very good. So already there's an area of 2. 2 plus 2, total area that I see is going to be 4. This is not drawn to scale, so please excuse me for that. So 2 plus 2, 4. Then I walk a little more forward. I come to 2. I come to 2. I stand at 2 and then I look. Yes, I stand at 2 and look to my left. Now how much area do I see? Is it 4 plus 2? 6 or 8? I'm getting few answers as 8 and few as I see 6. I see 6. So this is a line. This is another straight line. Then I don't stop. There is no need for me to stop at 2. I go a little more forward. I stand at 3. I stand at 3 and look to my left. I stand at 3 and look to my left. What do I see? What do I see? I stand at 3 and look to my left. And what will I see? How much area will I see? How much area will I see when I stand at? I will see 6. So I will see 6. What if I go a little more ahead? So I am going to see 6. So what is the slope? And since when we draw by hand, it will not be so clear. It's a good practice to write the slope of the line. What is the slope in this interval? -2 to 0. What is the slope? What is the slope here? This has a slope of, how much is the slope in this interval? 1, 2. 2, height of 2, width of 2. Slope is 1. How about here? Width of 2, height is 4. So slope is 2. Of course, this is constant. In the third, slope is 0. So we are having 3 lines and each having a different slope. When we draw by freehand, of course, it will not be so clear. But did you follow? Now we have taken a signal, we did the integration. Now I want you to do differentiation of the signal and see whether we get back the earlier signal. Please do derivative of the signal and let me know whether we get back the old signal. If I differentiate a line of slope 1, what will I get? I'll get it 1. I differentiate a line of slope 2, what will I get? I get 2. I differentiate a line of slope 0, I get a 0. So do we get back the old signal when we differentiate it? So we took the first signal, we integrated, we got it. And then if I differentiate, I should get back the earlier signal. I should get back the earlier signal. Is it clear? Is integration clear? Yes. So this was one example of integration. We'll take up one more example. The integration is nothing but area under the curve. Integration is area under the curve. So let's take up one more example for integration. I will give you 2 minutes time. Please do it and give me the answer. Please share the result. I want only 2 people are responding by sharing the photo. Since I have not saved your names, I will not know who is sending. Please participate. Yes, -1 to 2. This is my signal x of t. And now I want you to sketch the integral of the signal. Please sketch the integral of the signal. I give you 2 minutes time. Please sketch the integral of this signal. Yes, please sketch the integral of the signal. Please sketch the integration means what? We walk, stand, look to the left and see the area. We stand, look to the left and see the area. Please share the result. Please participate. Please participate and please share. You walk, you stand, you look to the left. Yes, very good. I got one plot and the answer is right. Answer is right. The second one is an attempt, but a small correction in the second answer. Yes. Any more? Any more are trying? I can wait. I can wait. Okay. So let's draw the integral. Let's draw the integral. Yes, we got one more answer. That's also right. Yes, good. Good. So now we go and stand at -2. There is no signal, so nothing. Then I come to -1. I stand and look to the left. what will I see? How much area do I see? This is the area I'm going to see, and the area is 1. I go a little more ahead. I go to 0 and look to the left. I see an area of another, I see a total area of 2. And then I come to 1. Then what I see, if I stand and look to the left, I am going to see a positive area of 2 and a negative area of 1. So 2 minus 1 becomes a 1. And then I go to 2 and stand and look to the left, and this is what I see. And so how much is the total area? I see a positive area of 2, negative area of 2. So the total area at 2 is again 0. So this is what I get. And to do a quick check, just differentiate. This is integral of x of t dt. Differentiate and see whether we get back the original signal. When I differentiate it, this is a line of positive slope with 1, and that is right. This is a line of negative slope with the minus 1, and that's right. So we get back the signal. If there's one more answer, yes, very good. Very good. Good. So you know there's a positive area, there's a negative area. Okay, last example in integration, an answer which you all know. Let us say cos 2 pi t. Let us say minus 1 and 1. If I consider the interval, say minus 1 to plus 1, what is the area? If I do the integration, minus 1 to 1 cos 2 pi t. Who can tell me the answer? It is the area. It is the area. How much area am I going to see? What's the answer? What's the answer? Any guesses? Any guess? What do you think is going to, very good. The answer is going to be 0 because I have equal area in the positive and equal area in the negative. If I just look at the final integration, if I do, the integration is going to be positive area, negative area, both are equal. So when I integrate a sine or a cosine, I am going to have 0. The total area is going to be 0 when I integrate it, but at each, so here is going to be positive, negative, whatever, that's fine. So next example, now we will, we have a concept known as energy of signal. Energy of a signal. Energy of a signal, and this is given by, suppose I have and usually we find energy of non-periodic signals. And you know what is periodic and what is non-periodic. We have already seen that. So energy of non-periodic signals. If I want to compute, by definition, this is given by integral, say minus infinity to infinity, x square t dt. This is how we can compute the energy of a signal. Given any signal, you just square the signal and then compute the integral, then we can get the energy of the signal. Similarly, we have power of a signal. The power of a signal, and this is given by, and usually we compute power of periodic signals. We compute the power of periodic signals, and that is given by 1 by t integral over t, again x square t dt. So the power of a periodic signal or energy of a non-periodic signal. We don't try to compute the other. That is, we will not try to compute power of non-periodic signal or otherwise. And power signals and usually random signals are also power signals. So this is by definition the energy and power of a signal. Does anyone, if I give you a signal, let us say x of t is say a cos omega t. Is this periodic or non-periodic? In general, x of t is given by a cos omega t. Is the signal periodic or non-periodic? Periodic. So is it a power or a energy signal? Very good. Is it power or energy signal? It's a power signal. Very good. So it is a power signal. Very, very good. So it is a power signal. And how much is the power of the signal? Anyone remembers? You had a cos omega t. You must have studied about the RMS value of a signal, or what is the power of a signal given by a cos omega t. Anyone remembers the power of the signal? Yes. Anybody remember the power of the signal? No? Anyone remember the RMS value of the signal? Yes, RMS value is 1 by root 2. Okay. Yeah. Yes. So the RMS value is say a by root 2. Can I tell the power is a square by 2? Can I tell the power is a square by 2? Yes, RMS value is a by root 2. So the power is a square by 2. Anyway, you can integrate and always verify the result. So now we will take up one small analogy, which is very useful in signals, but extremely important. Now, for a purpose of analogy, let's not have signal in mind. Let us consider a two-dimensional space. Two-dimensional space. So I have this as my x direction and this as my y direction. Y direction. I have, please note, I am not speaking of signals at all now. I am taking a two-dimensional space, and in this space, let us say I have a point here. I have a point P, and let us say this value is 2 and this value is say 1. So this is represented as say P2 comma 1, or I can also write my P as 2 times x hat plus 1 times y hat. That is, I move along the x for a distance of 2. Then I move along the y axis for a distance of, so I walk along x axis for a distance of 2, and then I walk along y axis for a distance of 1. And because that is how it is given, and then finally I reach my desired point, point 2. Now, if I try to, how are x and y related? Like, what can you tell about x and y? How are they? How are x and y? If I try to find the dot product of x and y, how much will I get? This is not signals, but still all of us know this is basic. We have all done in our school days probably. How are they related? How, if I find the dot product between x and y, How will I get? What is the answer? Very good. We got only one very good answer. One answer. Can I wait for some more to respond? The dot product between x and y. The dot product between x and y. Very good. Very good. Yes, we are getting answers. Some more answers? Some more answers? Yes. So the dot product is 0. What does it mean? X and y are perpendicular because they are perpendicular. So I can represent any point on a two-dimensional space, on this two-dimensional space which has x and y, by using the x vector and the y vector. I can represent any point on the two-dimensional space using the x vector and the y vector, and I can represent because they are perpendicular. On the other hand, if I had some other vector which is not perpendicular, I cannot. And if I want to do a three-dimensional space, I will consider one more axis, the z-axis. And once I have a three-dimensional space, I can represent any point anywhere. I have to just define my coordinate system, and then I can represent any point in the three-dimensional space by using the three perpendicular vectors. So what we have is by using the x, y, and z, we can represent any point in space. Any point in space using x, y, z, and the reason is they are all perpendicular to each other. The dot product between either of them is 0. So x dot y equal to y dot z equal to x dot z, and this is all 0. They are all perpendicular to each other. And can I have one more fourth axis which is perpendicular to x, y, z? I have three axes, x, y, z, with the coordinate system such that they're all perpendicular to each other. Can I get one more axis which is perpendicular? Can I find a fourth axis which is perpendicular to x, y, z? Can I find a fourth axis which is perpendicular to x, y, z? No. So yes, so that is why x, I cannot find a fourth axis. X, Y, Z, they form a complete set of perpendicular axis, and so because of which I can represent any point in space. Now exactly similar, we also have signals which are orthogonal. We don't call it perpendicular. We have signals. We have signals which are orthogonal. And how do we define two signals being orthogonal? If I have a signal x of t, and if I have a signal, another signal, say y of t, sorry, and if I do an integration of x of t, the product, if I do the integration of the product, and normally if it is a conjugate, if it is complex, it is conjugate, but we know all signals are real. But for completeness, let's put the full one. So x of t, I multiply with another signal y of t, and say I take the integral, and if this integral is 0, then it means that x of t is orthogonal to y of t. They are orthogonal. And suppose I find one more signal, say z of t, which is also orthogonal to x, y, and say I get one more signal which is orthogonal, then I am going to have a set of signals which are orthogonal to each other. And when I have a set of signals which are orthogonal to each other, then what happens? Like how we can represent any point in space by using the x, y, z coordinates. Exactly similar, if I have a set of orthogonal functions, then I can represent any signal using this set of orthogonal functions. So we will see by examples, certain examples of orthogonal functions, and the conclusion that we are going to draw is something we all know, and you will be surprised because we have all been using it, and it helps, and this has lot of significance. Orthogonal, and there's another concept, orthonormal, that is fine. So essentially, when I integrate the function over a given set of limits, and when the integration turns out to be 0, it means the two signals are orthogonal. And when I have two orthogonal signals, I can always represent using any other signal using these functions. So this is an analogy that we draw from the coordinate system, and it can be extended even to signals. Yes, I think then we'll have a very short discussion maybe on let us say the probability functions. Probability function. You have seen the Gaussian distribution yesterday. The Gaussian distribution, and let us say I have a normal mu sigma distribution, and if I have a normal sigma, and then this is, let us say this is my x, and let us say this is my f of x, and this is my normal, this is my mu and sigma. Can someone tell me what if I do the integration of this Gaussian distribution? What is going to be my integral? What is the area under the curve? If I do the integration of this function, what will I get? Say I have a Gaussian distribution function, and I try to integrate it from minus infinity to plus infinity, the Gaussian function. What will be the area? What is the area of a Gaussian distribution, a function? Yes, anyone? Anyone? What's the expression? What's the expression of the Gaussian distribution function? 1 by sigma root of 2 pi e to the power of minus x minus mu whole square by 2 sigma square. When I plot, this is what I get. What is the area of this function? Yes? Any probability function. What's the area of any probability function? 1. Yes. So when I do the integration, minus infinity to infinity f of x dx, the area should be 1. Any probability function, the area is 1. Area is 1. So similarly, if I speak of a uniform distribution, there's another distribution, say uniform distribution, and let us say this goes from, let us say I have a uniform distribution, say minus 2 to plus 2. And this is x, and say this is f of x. So I need my area, minus infinity to infinity, f of x dx should be 1. Can you tell me what should be the magnitude? I need the area to be 1. So what should be the magnitude? What should be the magnitude? Very good. Very good. So area, this will be 1 by 4 because it's a probability distribution function. Similarly, we have another distribution function known as the exponential function. The exponential function, exponential distribution function f of x, and that is given by a e to the power of minus ax for x greater than or equal to 0, 0 otherwise. And this is how the exponential distribution function is. So 0 for x less than 0, and this once again when I integrate this, I will get, I'll just check whether we get the integral as 1. Please check whether we get the integration as 1. Say 0 to infinity a e to the power of minus ax dx. Is the area 1? Please do this integration and let us check whether it is 1. What's the area? You will get this also as 1. So we have seen energy of a signal, power of a signal, orthogonal functions, integration, differentiation. So we will see all this in the Python code later. So we will try to integrate even probability functions because they come in various courses in different forms. So we'll take a break here. We'll meet again at 11:30. We'll meet at 11:30 and we will write a code for integration, differentiation, and we'll try to do addition, multiplication, etc. in Python. And we'll also end